Hi friends, this is Jennifer Belair with Open Hearts Club, and I am nestled in all the wild, in all the wilderness and all those sweet little wild things that are growing behind our garage. It's beautiful. There's milkweed and all this aster and pokeberry, and it's sunset, so it's like an exceptionally amazing time. It's fall, so I have a hat on, and I prefer hats because they hide my hair, and I like that. You can see my husband riding the bike around the backyard, and I have a cup of fennel tea, so life is pretty good. Just a moment. That's nice, warm stuff. So for this week's conversation for the Open Hearts Club, I wanted to just share a few topics and insights that are really inspiring me and exciting me, and just something that I felt called to share from the heart and from this space of openness and vulnerability. And we'll just see what happens, because that's how I like to roll, is pretty much just let the words flow and pray that something beautiful comes out, which it more often than not does. So that's one of my gifts, I think, in this lifetime. But a few things that have been inspiring me and what kind of keeps me on this journey of where I'm at and what I'm doing is this notion or concept of do it even if it's not perfect. So I feel like a lot of times in society that we can be stunted, we can stop ourselves, we can let other people discourage us and all sorts of things, and we have this like really strong pressure built up in ourselves to be like, why would I can't do it, like I just can't make the next step forward because I'm afraid, I'm fearful, I don't want to put something out into the world that's not like this beautiful polished creation. And some people have that innate gift where they can do something the first time, the second time, the third time, and it's just like it glows like gold. It has that finish and that beauty and all the stuff, and that's fine. That's one natural way of working, but we're not all wired that way, and more often than not it's not going to happen that way. The things that we put out there are a culmination of our gifts and of our experiences. So that's just something that we have to remember and hold on to. We have to embody that sweet space of like the beginner's mind, like being a student and always being a student, and being okay and being comfortable with not being particularly good at something. Like if we're not good at something, that's like, that should be like the biggest like celebration ever. Like, oh wow, I'm so bad at this, I got to keep doing it. And I don't always come to that place naturally, but I'm someone who really loves to do a lot of stuff. I like to be really inspired by life. I like to dip my toes in whatever creative interests are coming to me. And so I also struggle with perfectionism, where I'm like, oh man, I don't look the way I want to look, or I don't have the clothes that I want to have, or this, that, and the other thing, like all material stuff, or oh, I don't have the foundations of knowledge to share this. But we all have a gift. We all have something that we can bring to the table. And I feel like we have to get over our own fear, because once we start something, at least we started, right? So we started something, we pursued an interest. We don't have an infinite time on this planet, so it's up to us to kind of reach out from the wellspring of our inspirations and say, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to do this since I was a child, or gosh, my mom said I wasn't able to do that when I was little, or this kid said I really sucked at that thing in high school and that hurt, and I was scared to do it ever since. So it's like, where can we enter into that very sweet natural state of being more childlike, of being more curious, being more open, being more like receptive to this idea of like, I don't have to be an expert, I choose not to be an expert. I'm okay with making mistakes, I'm okay with not showing up in this pristine, polished way, because it's all about the journey, right? Like I used to run a lot of half marathons, and there was this really popular advertisement for the Detroit Free Press, and it would say, it's the journey, not the destination, or I might have mixed it up. It's the, you know what I mean? It's the destination. No, it's the journey, not the destination. There you go. Thank you. So it's a beautiful thing to consider. It's fun to be uncomfortable. I think that's a really beautiful sign of progress and being open to things. So for me, even just starting this whole YouTube channel and getting away from the structure that I built from being an artist, right? I went brick by brick. I have a formal education in art. Oh my gosh, I'm an artist. Wow, this is great. And it was great. It was really fun. But I built up so much structure and so much foundation that I was so scared to get away from that. I thought, I'm an artist. That's it. Nothing less, nothing more. I'm an artist, and that's all I want to do. I spend a ton of money. I spent a ton of time, and I have to be this thing. So it was just like this identity that I really caged myself in. But it wasn't until I was like, wow, I'm doing this other stuff a lot more than art. And so that's my soul, my inner deep soul being like, hey, woohoo, like this is what lights you up. Don't forget it. So it was a fun and uncomfortable journey and voyage for me to be like, oh, wait, I'm actually a diamond, right? I'm just like this super multifaceted diamond, and we all are, to whichever degree we decide to inhabit or embody. So it's like, wow, you can be a diamond with so many different facets, and you can pick a few like key skills, and those can be maybe your career or like your main hobby, but like, why not dip your hands into some other kind of honey and see what happens, and just get uncomfortable and make things and be a beginner again. Like for me, it was like, okay, I'm still an artist. I'll always be an artist no matter what. That's just part of me. That's how I process my life. That's how I process my emotions. That's how I go through a lot of stuff. And now I have this very specific way that I want to make work. I want to make artwork that's very beautiful, that inspires love and is light, instead of coming from a very heavy, dense, emotional place, which is where a lot of my artwork existed in the past. And I bless it. I thank it. That's who I was. I was learning. I was growing. But now it's like, ooh, I really love thinking about the body, thinking about health, thinking about nutrition, wellness, cultivating a more mindfulness approach to life, and just being aware of thoughts. So like getting into whole different realms of being that were actually already always there when I was making art, because I was looking into things like collective consciousness and deep emotions, and why do you feel this way when you look at a Rothko. So it's like the kernel or the core of you is always there, and we have to distill it down to like a word or a couple words. So it's like, wow, they're so curious. Like I'm a really curious person. And so how can I create more curiosity in my life? And I've always been into investigating the self. So that investigation of the self was there in the art world, but then it came through in a new way where I was like, wow, ooh, I have this body, this awesome body that I can like do stuff with and like enjoy it and run and dance and do all the things. And so it's great when we put on a new hat. It can look weird or uncomfortable to people who might not have seen us in that space before. They're like, wait, but I already labeled you as an artist, so why are you doing that other stuff? So sometimes people can make us feel like that we maybe shouldn't be doing the things that we're doing, and that it seems unfamiliar. But we have to kind of silence the noise from the outside and be like, wow, this brings me a lot of joy to do this, and that's something I want to keep cultivating in my life and in my experience on this planet. And so it's very brave. It's super brave to do something different and to break out of your own structure, to break out of your own identity and be like, yeah, I'm more than that. Like I'm so much more than that. I'm just like this sweet little diamond that wants to express itself in so many different ways. So I'm just bringing this to the light because I want to encourage anyone out there who maybe built a structure, who built a career, who built like so much time and energy in one thing, and just realizing that you're so much more than that, and that there's a lot of things that we can do. My husband keeps going in circles around the tree. Unexpected visitor. But just doing something, trying something different. And I have some friends who are really inspiring, like they will learn a new language, do something different, travel to a new country, try to speak the language. And, you know, I think that's really exciting. I think that's so fun, and like it really keeps your brain just so energized and so joyful. And, you know, we're not just our careers. Like I heard this expression once that was like, instead of asking someone, oh, what's your career? It was like, what are you passionate about? And so I really like that. And I hope more people ask me that in my lifetime, because I've always been plagued by that question. Oh, I hope they don't ask me what I do for a living, because I'm still figuring it out. And I'm very creative, I'm very expressive, and I can't choose one thing for good or for, I'm not sure what the other word I want to say is, but I don't want to say bad. For good or for curious, that's just where it is. So do it, even if it's not perfect. That's the best thing we can do. Just try it. Just get your hands dirty. Like, make a drawing and it sucks. And then you're like, wow, I tried drawing for the first time. That was great. Make some food you've never made before. Like, explore your curiosities. Like, what are the things that personally light you up in your life that you're like, ooh, I wanted to do that a long time ago, and now I'm finally doing it. That's a good feeling. And then the second quote that I thought was really kind of the core and the essence of like my personality and who I am and what I strive for in this lifetime is this very simple quote. I actually just got it off of Instagram from, I'm not sure where. That's okay. I don't think it was anybody well known. I think everything gets repeated, so I'm just going to say it. But the quote is, leave something good behind. So to me, that resonated so loud and so clear. And as soon as I had heard the person say it, I was like, that's the goal. That's the golden ticket. And we all do it in our own ways. So like celebrating, how are you leaving something good behind? There's like that super famous quote for the national parks, like, leave the park better than when you came here. Like, clean up after yourself, make it beautiful, make it nice, make it even better than before. So it's kind of this fun idea of like, how can we leave something good behind? And that can be through the things that we create. It can be through all of our interactions, through the ways that we interact with community, with people, with this beautiful, beautiful planet that we get to inhabit. As I'm watching the sunset and like all these incredible birds just like flying by, there's a plane, like, oh my gosh, it's just so nice. And I'm kind of under the weather, so I'm feeling very energized by all this beauty. So it's just such a beautiful, pure and simple reminder. And when things get challenging, that's kind of the quote that I really like to hold on to, is like, okay, this isn't what I wanted, this isn't what I think I need, but somehow, some way, I'm meant to learn from this lesson. And so leaving something good behind, whether it's a thought, like I said, in art, if you have children, like, how can you raise them to be good humans, right? Respecting the land, respecting one another, respecting themselves, loving the land, loving one another. And how can we continue to cultivate that as grown people, as adults? And like, how can we reframe that into every single moment? Like, man, I got to leave something good behind. What's it going to be? Oh, a beautiful meal for my family, for my friends, for my husband, for these other people. So it's the small things, right? It's like the very small, tiny actions that we can do that are, I've seen it and I feel it and I sense it, but it's like it's going to sound strange, but I'm going to say it, but it's like everything is like, if you imagine, it's like a web of life, right? And we're all connected, like every living being that ever was, ever is, ever could be, like it's life. Like, life exists at this beautiful level of interconnectedness. And so if we leave something good behind every day with every action, as many actions as possible, like we're gonna lift the web. We're gonna lift this experience of being a conscious being on this planet. And to me, that gives me a lot of hope. Like, even as I'm speaking it, I'm getting excited. Like, I feel like a loosening of anxious or nervous energy inside of my body. I feel good. I feel joyful. And it's like, it doesn't have to be anything big, right? Like, I'm doing this YouTube channel and I don't have a lot of views. I have I think 9 hours, which I'm still really proud of. And I think it's really cool. And so I'm celebrating that. I'm like, wow, you left something good behind. You're trying, and I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. So I just think, what are the small actions, and how can I cultivate that in my thoughts, in my situations that I put myself into how I treat my body, through food, through movement. How do I relate to my friends and my family? And it's a process. I'm not an expert. I will never be an expert, but I would like to think that I'm trying the best that I can. And so that gives me hope. Pardon me, I need some fennel tea. It's not as hot, but it's still good. And then the last quote that really lifts and inspires me is simple, and again, it's very nourishing, but it hits home. It's be what you didn't have growing up. And so without getting too personal, like our souls all desire for a certain experience, and our parents, our family, our friends, our coaches, whoever, like they did the best they could with what they had. It's like the great Maya Angelou quote, when you know better, you do better. But sometimes our souls as children really we want so much more. Like we're so excited by life. It's just such like a pure, beautiful experience. And so I was thinking, like, what didn't I have growing up? And I wanted like a big role model. Like I loved being inspired by things. I wanted to be a fashion designer and a fashion photographer and like all these different things. And I was always looking for people to be inspired by. And so I'm so, wow, like look at these kids growing up who get to watch like Instagram even and see really incredible people doing stuff and people they can connect to and be like expanded by, right? So I think for myself, like coming from a background in running, I loved running, and that was my favorite thing. I had all these role models in running, and I loved it. Like that was like my favorite thing, and like I'm so glad that I had that family and that group of people to connect to and to get into those very like competitive but connected states of being with these young runners and young athletes as a young person. And it was just like a big pride. Like it was just like such a beautiful connection coming from a smaller family, but also with parents who worked a lot. So it's like, how can we build that when we're young and maybe not as aware, and then how can we cultivate that and create it as we're older? So I was like, what would I have wanted growing up? And I think for me, I would have wanted a guide, someone who could guide me and connect me to myself and connect me to my body and connect me to a sense of worth that was outstanding, right? Like wow, you imagine you're a kid and you grow up and your parents are like, you're amazing, like I'm so proud of you, hold a high sense of self-worth. And what I want to do is what I didn't have. Like I'm still at the ripe age of 34. I'm like, man, I still struggle with self-worth. Where is that coming from? And it echoes from the past, and that's just part of my journey and my path in this lifetime. But it's one of the biggest teachers that I've ever had, and I wouldn't trade anything in my life for it. So it's like, how can I take that information, that energy, that experience, not blaming a single soul for it, because that was part of my karma, right? Like coming onto this planet, these are the things that I had to go through. And so how can we shift that energy and transmute it to grow into something beautiful and serving of other people? So I feel like that's my goal, is to just put positive things out there, to encourage people to be themselves, and be themselves even if it's not perfect, because nobody's perfect, and it's not a realistic goal to obtain. So it's a journey, and I'm excited to be on that journey, and I'm excited to share. I'm excited to do things that are weird and be weird forever, because I've always been weird, and make the most of it. And so I hope to inspire a few people along the way and to be a quote keeper. I love quotes. I remember when I watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and the woman Kirsten Dunst's character was like a quote keeper, and she had like the Barnard's book of quotes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be like that. And I just write quotes down, and a lot of times they're really inspirational, or they just like boom, like sing really deeply in my heart, where I'm like, wow, that makes me want to wake up. That makes me feel excited about life. And so those are the three that I chose today to think about, to contemplate, and to hopefully encourage you. So do it, even if it's not perfect. There's some motorcycles going by, not a quote. I'm a beginner. I don't know what else to say. Next quote, leave something good behind. Easy. You can do it right now. and be what you didn't have growing up. I think those are really wonderful things to aspire to do and to be and to attempt. And that's all I have to say about that, quoting Forrest Gump. But thank you so much for listening and for cozying up to me and this experience. That was weird. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your everything, and I hope this helps make you smile, make you laugh, make you do something weird and uncomfortable in this strange but delicate dance of being a human. And I will see you next week. I also have some fun videos on human design on my YouTube channel and the Open Hearts Club blog, so check out openhearts.blog and see what I'm writing about. Sign up for my newsletter. I'm also doing some sliding scale human design readings, so you're going to see a lot of human design stuff on here: nutrition, yoga, me talking, learning, growing, and all that good stuff. So I like to ramble, so I'm going to say adios, spokojna noche. I'm getting anxious, so I can't think of the other ones. Thank you so much.